And a very big welcome to the Bar Stews Inquiry Day 3 Cheltenham Debrief. My name's Lee Keys of systembet.co.uk, and as always, my partner in crime, and certainly an informed partner in crime, is John Lang of John Joe's Blogspot on Facebook. Give that page a try anytime you like. It's full of fun, and you get to meet probably the Ginger Hitler on that page. John, am I right there?
Yeah, I'll be floating about there, I'm sure.
The famous Ginger Hitler, which we will try and get him on the show, but he's kind of not having it at the moment. But we keep pestering. Anyway, on to today's action. Nuts and hay action today, John. The Irish seem to have floored the British contingent. No finer name than flooring Porter, as the British have been floored in the Stayers Hurdle, the main race today. Some plenty of talking points. So without further ado, we'll go on to the first race today and the absolute demise of Blogger and the Stallion, John, in the 120.
Well, it must have been Vomitus Maximus for the power lads there, because I think that'll have been the linchpin of all our bets today. It was a sad sight, really, because of all the promising novices, I was probably looking forward to seeing that one as much as anything, really. I'm hoping to see a performance from it, but just seemed to take off a bit early and didn't clear the fence, put his front paws through the top of the fence and couldn't get the landing gear down. Luckily, the type of falls tend to be, no, they're all nasty, but as soft a fall as you can get at a place like that. And the horse walked away from it, you know. But yeah, it was a unsatisfactory race, really, wasn't it?
It was, because I mean, like watching the finish there. I mean, for me, it was pretty obvious to see that. I think if Envoy Island had jumped round well, I think it. You know, if someone gave you that Provisio, you'd be taking short odds that he would have won that. Looking at the finish, and I was annoyed because I basically got no view on the race. He was like trading at 1.46, and you know, listeners will be pleased to know that I ended up doing money in because he drifted to 1.7 near the off and dragged me in, and that's just my luck at the minute. So I got dragged in, and I got no opinion really at the prices. It was just price, and I paid the price. So I wasn't quite on the floor with Blogger and Stallion, because you can imagine that's their day gazumped, like you said, with all their bets.
That was a burger and chip money, wasn't it? Really, yeah.
I think so. Are we hearing much from the Stallion lately? I mean, I keep on Blogger's page, but do we hear much of the Stallion?
I think the Stallion's in the garden shed with a shotgun at the minute. I'm not really fancying the Stallion to say the start of the flat, the way things are going for them.
Nah, that's he's in trouble there.
They haven't quite put the screens round, but you know, the vet's looking concerned.
Yeah. And then, so we got off to punters got off to a bad start there. The Ackers went down. Everything went down in race one. You know, everyone was, the slips have been ripped up. Then we went on to the Potemps. And another success for the Irish with Mrs. Milner bursting clear under Brian Cooper. John, did you have any interest there?
Yeah, I had the Boss's Oscar. I was a bit sick about this one because I backed Mrs. Milner in Ireland earlier it was back in the last year actually, and it went massive odds on in running and got nutted on the line when I backed it. And I didn't really fancy it today, to be honest. I did look at it, so I mean, it's my own stupid fault for not having anything on it. But I thought the Boss's Oscar was a fairly good bet today at 6-1. The money that came for it was. If it'd been that price for a Englishman, I probably wouldn't have bothered. But I thought it ran a really good race, you know.
He did. It ran its race. The burst of speed that Mrs. Milner showed on the running to go clear, it was like, wow, just blasted up the hill.
Shades of flow, Joe, wasn't it?
In strides. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Paul Nolan there, bringing back memories. Brave Incas trainer, back in the day. Then we move on to the Ryanair. Allaho.
Well, the
In the
second dates
Ryanair.
continued for me. There was Fucky Doodary.
Ah, of course, yeah.
I couldn't keep myself out the frame, but another. I mean, I had no chance from a long way out. I don't know what price this went in running at the top of the hill, but for me it was all over by then. A very positive Blackmore ride.
Yeah,
And just ran the finish out of him, didn't he?
I might have been a bit hasty here because after the race, I sort of called it as like, wow, it's gone at a ridiculously quick pace and absolutely just destroyed and kept going and going and going. So until I get to see race splits, I can't really offer an accurate like description to the performance, if you like.
Yeah.
The one thing Ian Sears made a comment on Twitter, and I agree. You know, that of any of the performances today, that was the most taken. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean, I mean, if I could watch a race back again from today, I mean, apart from one we'll discuss later on, but this race in particular, I did feel that Allaho looked top class. I loved it. I loved its agility. I loved its fencing ability. I loved the ride it got.
Champion chase next year, mate.
I'm real, yeah. It's one of them I enjoyed. I've got to say, despite my nuts and hay, protestations about the Irish at the moment, I did enjoy Allaho's ride and race. Medication aside, but yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. But I would have to see the sectionals to give a full rundown to know whether the race was run too hard, because I noticed Mellon packed in early, Sam Crow packed in early. Whether they just had enough of life, I don't know. But
visually, I thought she put a bit of injection of pace down the back there, going up the hill, believe it or not, which you wouldn't normally recommend. But I think she really put them to the sword going up the hill myself.
Yeah. Anyway, it was that was the performance of the day for me. I enjoyed it, and credit to Rachel Blackmore today and for riding 5 winners. Fantastic performance. Or is that 5 for the meeting? That's 5 for the meeting. Is that 5 for the meeting?
Yeah. I believe so. Yeah.
Of course, it went 5 winners for today. That's the gin. Sorry, folks.
Yeah.
5 winners. I need whipping and pissing for saying that. But But basically, Rachel, 5 winners for the meeting. That's shocking for me. We move on. Move on. Paddy Power, Stayers Hurdle. Flooring Porter certainly floored punters today on Paisley Park, who was sort of struggling to travel going down the hill. And Flooring Porter just set a searching pace and just kept going in a ridiculously fast time. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really looked like getting to this, did it? I mean, it was just... You'd be on the verge of calling it an awesome performance, really. I mean, because it buried them, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it really did. I mean, this was overturning him for me.
Yeah. I mean, not Gavin Cromwell, fantastic trainer, champion hurdle trainer, has been fined in the past for substance misuse. By the way, I'll just point that out. Nuts and hay today, but Flooring Porter, yes, bounded clear in a ridiculously fast time, 3.78 seconds slower than standard. No other hurdle race, including over shorter today, got within a country mile of that. Put it this way, the Potemps, if you want to put this in perspective, was running 7.25 seconds slower. So, and that would equate to about 35, 40 lengths. A good effort.
Indeed.
It's quick. So
Indeed.
well done, Flooring Porter. The connections there. We move on to the Paddy. Yeah, Paddy Power.
I'll just point out one bit of injudicious riding in that stairs hurdle as well. Sean Flanagan on Bacon Edge. If I'd been Noel Maid, I'd have probably given one on the chin when he came in. He should definitely have been third. He let Paisley Park up the rail there. Terrible pace of riding. He definitely should have closed that rail off and finished third.
Good spot. Never, didn't notice that. Yeah, good spot there. Okay, so we move on to the Paddy Power Play, and we saw celebrations as connections of the shunter had landed the big bonus, John.
Well, we all got shunted, really, didn't we? I mean, I put up on Twitter that I backed the one that chased this home at Kelso a couple of weeks ago, and on reflection, I might as well have been trying to nip fog.
Yeah, I read that.
You know, it's travelled strongly, it's led, and it's just punched up, really, hasn't it? You know, I mean, even at the last, when Farclas, who became a bit of trouble in running, I thought, looked as though he might get to him when they landed after the last, and then he just found out and pulled away, hadn't he?
Yeah.
You know, another tip-top performance.
Well, I mean, if you remember, we did a podcast, I think it was a sermon, and we talked about the shunter, or was it the Cheltenham preview? Can't remember. My memory's terrible, short term and long term. But anyway, not good as a professional punter, by the way, and gin, yeah. But if you remember at Kelso, the one thing I do remember was a terrible ride.
Yeah.
Alan Corley was wide. It was making mistakes, and I said to you on this cast, I said, how on earth then can the shunter win a more battle and a competitive one? Like I said, good race that, and it made absolutely countless errors, wide trip, still pissed up. Well, he didn't piss up, but it won. It got the job done.
Was well on top of the finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, and today he had the run of the race, lovely ride, made a few errors, but I even said to Christian Strangeway, who I chat with in running via messaging, and I said, don't worry about the mistakes. The nuts and hay will see this home. These lads have had the bonus. They want the bonus. It doesn't matter. There'll be more unleaded in this, than they've used the Galway allowance for this. But yeah, so I mean, that was my take on the shunter. I mean, shout out to Emmett Mullins. I'd like to know how you got it beat at Tipperary, but then everyone knew because the horse got a 60-day ban.
He's done well to overcome that, hasn't he? 60 days in activity.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'll bow down to skillful placing and skillful planning. But as I've said, nothing with this festival sits comfy with me. Anyway, we'll move on to the 4:15, which was the Dawn Run hurdle, and I believe you had a look on the winner. Tell me something, John.
Yeah, I did have a little bit on the winner. It was more insofar as I thought it looked really well, and I thought it was between 3 or 4, and that was just the visual pick, really, and of course Blackmore's in fantastic form, isn't she? Yeah. And it was a small bet, at a price that was probably out of kilter with what was on the boards as well. I think I got 8.2 or something like that, which was a bit big compared to what was on the boards. So I just thought, well, that's worth a couple of quid for something to watch as much as anything. But I thought she was quite impressive, really. As was Magic Days, who pulled like buggery all the way around.
Oh, yes.
And still beat the rest of them handsomely.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I was having a chat again with some, we do this for a living. You know, you can disagree with our opinions and you can say we're talking rubbish. You can do whatever you want. But I will tell you now that Magic Days went off 28.0 on Betfair. And despite it pulling, absolutely, you know, it pulled its cock off. Well, it can't be a cock, comes to the I'll not use the other word. It's too discreet. Cock's a better word than the female version, anyway. But anyway, it pulled hard, and these horses that pull hard, you can guarantee there's professional layers in running that are taking
them on,
and taking them on. Well, I can tell you now that Magic Days was well under SP all way. So it was trading around anywhere between 19 and 15 down the back, you know, so half odds, despite pulling hard. So we're wise to this. You know, you can't. You can say what you want. You let the media say what they want. You can, you know, and people can rubbish your views, but we understand the game. We know what's happening, right? And so that's why that horse simply was not available at prices. And you know, it's pulled hard. It's finished second. It's beat the rest, but for the winner, it's won a Dawn Run Mares Hurdle, pulling hard for the entire race. I'll leave it there. That's all that needs to be said on that. We move on to the Kim Muir, the finale, where if the fireworks hadn't already happened that day from previous performances, it certainly did here, John.
Yeah, I mean, it was like one of them. You remember the old Catherine whales that you used to nail up on the coal house door and then they'd spin round for a bit and drop down and just fizz a bit on the floor?
Yeah.
Well, it was like that Catherine whale getting back up, nailing itself to the door and spinning faster than one of Hulver's finest washing machines. Because, I mean, this was bait after a couple of fences, wasn't it? Going nowhere. I saw like 80 showing up on the prices. I mean, I'm sure with 1,000 was done to 101 quid according to Tony Calvin.
Yeah, 50 quid match, so 50 grand. Somebody's got a touch.
You know, I mean, knowing what we know, I mean, we should have all been nipping some tenors on and stuff, really. You know,
well, I mean,
there was a long way to go, wasn't it?
Again, I don't mind admitting that I laid it in running a lot shorter than that, obviously, but you have to play it how you see it, and I just I watched that early, and I'm thinking to come back from that. I mean, again, one of our listeners who follows us on Twitter mentioned that he said what did that have in hand, and I think you mentioned 2 stone to do that. But to me,
this was like the joke of Edinburgh turning up at William's coronation, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in 40 years' time, you know, I mean, he's already been embalmed, and you know, here he is in the church.
The only defense I've got, and again, this is before like times are analysed, is it was a very slow time, right? Which 21 seconds slower than standard. Yeah. Now, you know, that's compared to the rest of the times on the day, that's incredibly slow.
That indicates a pace collapse then.
So that could just well be that they've gone for handicappers. They've gone way too hard early, and they've all paid. And this thing, despite jumping crap and I thought it was struggling on the ground. I thought this is just either hating the track, the ground. You know, it was not moving well.
Well, the Bromheads horse that came down at the downhill fence, that was a fall of a tired horse, I thought, and that was Andy Holloway.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say Andy, about 6, you know. That looked a tired fall to me, so maybe they did go quick.
It just could have been that. But like another professional punter friend of mine pointed out on messaging, and he said, well, when you look at the race and you're thinking, you know, like, for example, like, I suppose, well, yeah, Cloudy Glen, Did that come from the back? Can't remember. The second.
Did
that come from? I did. Yes, he did. He did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. So basically, what we've got here is, and this isn't after timing, by the way, because I laid it. So this is not like after timing, as in like, oh well, you're just saying this, but just doing the chewing the fat. That clearly it looks to me on times that they've gone too fast. So that's why it's actually won like it has in a way.
Can I throw a butt in here?
Yeah, of course you can.
I think didn't Kerry Lee's lead? I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's got about 20 lengths at the finish, but it managed to finish fifth.
And I think, Hold the Note were handy as well. Yeah,
that was fourth. Yeah. So I don't know. It's a bit of a puzzle, really. I don't think you can say for definite the pace collapsed, because actually, if anything, Hold the Note was running on again at the finish, indicating that once they bring in a 5 mile chase, I'll probably be nearly my knackers to it again. And I think I'll be shelving that project until it gets the swamp that I'm convinced it needs, actually. But
yeah. Anyway, another spectacular day for the Irish. I'm sure British trainers will be looking at this and scratching their heads, or maybe not scratching their heads. They might use the brains.
There might be
future winters.
There might be a good thing to come out of all this. Some of our trainers might say, "Well, we're keeping our horses for Cheltenham, and we're keeping them to get a bloody good padger in. What's the point? We might as well campaign these horses properly now."
Well, it'd bring back the old calendar, wouldn't it? And getting the prestige back in a lot of our UK domestic programme, which I think we actually need. What's happened in modern times is everyone has migrated to Cheltenham, big crowds. It's all been about Cheltenham. We have Cheltenham preview nights. We talk about Cheltenham in November, when really we should be talking about Tingle Creeks and everything else. We don't. These are just Saturday sideshows now. Henderson's also made it that with his 3 runs a year with anything he's got. Right, to defend Henderson, maybe actually does that to compete with the Irish. Maybe that's what he has to do to get a horse in absolutely pristine condition, bit of meds, to take on the Irish. And that's why he's had sort of limited success against them. Like you look at, obviously Sprinter Sacre and the likes, and maybe that's the key for somebody like Henderson to take on the Irish.
By common consent, he's come into this in pretty bad shape. And yet, I think if you look at finishing positions, he's probably done best of our trainers up to now. Yeah,
agreed. I mean, obviously, I put out on the Cheltenham preview about the less than 3 winners. He's currently on 2. Probably going to stay on 2, to be honest, unless you think Champ or Sansini will win the Gold Cup. But anyway, that's a side issue. But at least, like you say, he's come out with credit for a yard really that hasn't fired like he can do most of this year. Obviously disconcerting that he didn't have a supreme novice runner. That always worries me for the future. Anyway, we'll move on to tomorrow. That's today done. The Irish obviously banging at 17 winners at the moment. I'm presuming they'll probably beat the record tomorrow when they end up doing the inevitable. John, tomorrow we start with the Triumph Hurdle. Obviously, we're all Zanna here, aren't we?
Yes. It's a pretty pivotal sort of day for me tomorrow. I've got my 2 big each-way lucky 15s with plenty of action in them tomorrow. I've got 2 winners going on to Zanna here and a Plutard. I've got Bob Ollinger and Galvin going on to that one. And in addition to that, I've got one with Bob Ollinger at 4-1 going on to a Plutard Nelly May, and of course the Nap, which is King Ottercar in the Lincoln next Saturday, which if them 2 win tomorrow, that will afford me 7 sleepless nights while I get my wheelbarrow ready.
Big fingers crossed for you there. I always an admirer of someone that takes a big opinion anti-purse, and I hope this really pays off for you. So possibly a big day for John tomorrow then, with John's selections tomorrow, and I'll keep my fingers crossed for that. I originally thought Barbados Bucks was a tremendous bet for the meeting because I think he's got all the traits of the family. Big Bucks, he's on the dam side, and he reminds me of Big Bucks, does Barbados Bucks, in that he's quite idle, messes around in front, hides his ability. But with what's gone off this week with the Irish, I'm just not prepared to back an English British runner. It's not sensible. So there's no point. So whatever.
We've got the old boy in that race as well.
Yeah.
We've got the one we're fascinated by, N'Golo, of course.
Oh yeah, with the of course, yeah.
N'Golo with the 5 entries.
Yeah, John highlighted this. Yeah.
A fascinating contender, I think. He's basically going up a mile in trip. Having looked like he's crying out for a mile. There's a hood going on tomorrow, so whether Willie's frightened his eyes are going to get cold or what, I don't know. But there is a hood going on, and I just think it's a fascinating run of that one. Really do. 20-1.
Yeah, you did highlight that on the and then we noticed the 5 entries and N'Golo, keep your eye on that because this had 5 entries and this is the one they've chosen. Why would you make 5 entries? It's like you're really not sure of what you want. Well,
and then pitching against Statler, one of your favourites.
Yeah.
You think he knows where he stands with Statler yet.
Exactly.
He's slamming him in,
Yeah, that's far from a dead runner, you'd think, at big prices. So, well spotted, John, again. So 20s plus for N'Golo. Barbados Bucks, I won't be supporting due to Nuts and Haygate at the festival this week. So that's all pretty much from me and John today. We're back tomorrow with an extended show covering off Cheltenham, the final day. And we're also going to be giving some insights into Uttoxeter and Kempton on an extended final day of
I think we might have a runner on Saturday as well.
Ooh. So John, the man in form, he's the one that gave you the unraced maiden at Lingfield the other day. I let you down today with a bad tip at Hexham, but that's me. So please join us tomorrow for an extended edition. And we'll cover off Saturday's racing at Uttoxeter.
And don't forget to press subscribe on the YouTube channel.
Absolutely. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on SoundCloud, because then you never miss an episode. We're quite random with this. So, you don't want to miss out because we do sometimes talk a bit of sense. That's all from me and John. Bye for now.